Good evening, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know. Hello, SpeedGaming, and welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament tonight. Today, we have a round 2 matchup. The first game between BigDunka and homemadebeer. Second round. I'm Jesse Radical Sniper 99, joined today by MyNDM with Darkshana and Malk here on tracking. Hello, MyNDM.
Hey Jesse, it has been a hot minute since we've gotten to do this, and to kick it off in round 2 of the main tournament here, not a bad spot to get back into it if you're somebody like me.
I will say this matchup, as I said, game 1 between Beer and Dunka. Beer sweeping Zafakil in round 1, 2-0. Meanwhile, Dunka winning 2-1 over Zenit Short. So, two very good matchups in those first round, leading to this setup here.
Yeah, and now we get head-to-head between the man who made the ladder and the man who bakes the beer. So, yeah, we've got Cross Hunt on the table today. This was a bit of a new mode. It kind of spawned out of a previous iteration where the entrances weren't crossed, but people thought, you know, why don't we cross the entrances too and see how that goes? And so this is the thing we've got. We've got all the keys and maps and compasses and so forth shuffled around, and the entrances as well. And it's a bit of a Triforce hunt if you want to lead everybody through that one for a minute.
Yeah, sure. So you said you mentioned the start of this was kind of from another mode. It was part of the War for Hyrule event hosted by the Go Mode podcast. Ganon hunt. It was a Triforce hunt just like this. So this new version with is cross keys with the Ganon hunt. And so our runners must get 10 Triforce pieces. There are 12 Triforce pieces in total in the pool. One behind every one of our 10 dungeons on the boss. And then there are 2 in Ganon's Tower, one behind Ice Armos, and the other one behind Moldorm 2 as sometimes lovingly referred to as verification chests or validation chests, as it were. So, yep, you got to get 10 of those pieces. You don't really need the crystals or the pendants to finish this, so it's not too bad. Meanwhile, we did see Castle Tower over by Lake Hylia, Dunka dropping into the Vanilla Thief hideout. And yes, it is a 0 crystal GT for this mode. So we do not need crystals or pendants to get into that. Good thing to always remember that entrance is always open if you have a way up to Dark Death Mountain.
Which, of course, could just be some connector floating around somewhere, or maybe the game wants you to have mitts and a hook shot and a hammer and go over the old-fashioned way. You never know.
Yeah. I've definitely had, when I was first learning this mode to get ready for main tourney, that 0 crystal GT was a bit of a tough one for me to remember. So I've kind of got it down pat now, but, you know.
Yeah, you would expect people who've made it into the round of 32 have probably had their fair share of experience with all 3 of the modes we're playing in main tournament this year.
Now, Beer is scouting out the Thief Drop. If I see Thief Drop, I like to just kind of blind drop that one, because it's like, you know, now it's a walkout, and then another walkout, so it just feels like a lot of extra. If it's nothing, I guess you could technically save some time, but as soon as you know what it is, it's not too bad. Dunka taking those 10 bombs we got earlier and gonna put them to good use here, trying to do front of escape.
Yeah, just a hard container for his trouble on that first one, but we'll see. And yeah, to your point about the Thief Drop, I feel like, especially since this is the full kind of key sanity thing, you've got a lot of things that can be at that drop that you would want to pick up. In this case, it was a small key. You don't know what the small key is until you get the text box attached to it. So, yeah, definitely not wanting necessarily to eat those extra screen transitions and the extra bit of walking around. Any of that you can save yourself is time that you still have on the table later.
Exactly. That TR entrance, by the way, is pretty nice to find. Not only does it give us, you know, access to TR, which is always nice, as we also find Swamp. That's a full magic and a bomb in those 2 pots. As we do find the small key to Swamp. Okay.
Alright, well, we still need the dam, we still need some flippers. It's not as though Swamp is immediately on the table, but it's nice to have that key early.
Meanwhile, we do see the lumberjack ledge here at the well, and that I think is a rod, isn't it?
I missed what the bottom of that was, but it was certainly something that Beer's interested in because he's going to go do this drop as well.
I will say, chat, my eyes are not always great, so, you know, don't trust me always. It was a key. Okay. Chat got me. It was a key. To Castle Tower. Ooh. That's not a good key to see, especially given our lumberjack is the back of escape.
Yeah, this is one of those where you're really hoping that you can track down that Hyrule Castle sewers key as early as possible and not worry about having to do AGA. But, you know, sometimes that's just the way the game's going to make you play it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, we could have seen some strategy from Dunka there, maybe saying, you know, I could steal the key to Hyrule Castle or steal the boom guard key or the map guard key to hit the back instead. Some people argue, you know, 3 versus 1.
Particularly in the situation where it's you're trying to find 2 castle tower keys to get through the other direction. Well, yeah, I mean, he's got the 1 now, and he starts thinking, well, what did I really want to do here? And he's already made his choice.
Yep. That's the thing. I mean, Dunka got a Swamp Small out of Boom Chests. So that's a good find. And, like, when you get that key, you know, you feel pretty good about that. We'll see how Beer handles it later. It's a tough decision.
And it's the sort of decision where you're actually in a not terrible position if you want to steal the boomerang guard key to just go ahead and take the death warp to the front. And that way you can save scum out of that if everything in the back turns out not to be worthwhile.
I will say the hard part with that choice becomes, you know, if I get the Hyrule Castle small key later, what compels me to go back to Zelda's cell?
Very true. And it's a dangerous way to play in either direction. You're making a choice, and it's a choice you're going to have to live with.
Yes. That's the fun or the danger of any entrance, or of entrance especially, is just, you know, making that kind of decision. I will say that Graveyard Ledge find, really nice for Dunka, having already spent a bunch of bombs on the front of Escape. So he's got to feel pretty good about the refill. And we see Ganon over by the bat.
Yeah, really just locked away behind a hammer or behind Mitts and Mirror, but you're going to have those more likely than not by the time you've got everything else that you need to go ahead and beat the game. Getting those 10 Triforce pieces requires most of the equipment, generally speaking.
Mind you, did you see what Beer just picked up?
I did not see what Beer just picked up.
You know, we were making such a stink about the Hyrule Castle small key. Beer found the Hyrule Castle small key.
Of course he did. Well, that makes life really easy, doesn't it? You get that one key to Castle Tower, and you say, well, that lets me check both checks, and then I don't care about the other one. I kind of hope I never find it.
Yep. I mean, the worst case becomes, and, like, we could still see this required, is killing Aga does have value. It doesn't seem that way at first glance, but killing Aga, of course, is Dark World access. The other side of that decision becomes, you know, if you kill Aga 1, it actually gets rid of the bat at the Castle Tower entrance. Yeah,
so if you don't have your cape or at least your second sword, you can still get into that entrance. Yeah, in an entrance mode, that makes a lot of sense.
We did see that the Fairy Ascension Cave there at the CAC shop led us to Laser Bridge exit. Not really helpful right now. We'll see if we can get a mirror anytime soon.
Yeah, it could be handy later. It's not the worst thing in the world to be able to get at necessarily if you've, say, got a flute later and you can just kind of pop on over and get there and take your connector over to the mountain and mirror and you've got some mountain access. Yeah, it's a thing, potentially.
Okay, I was gonna say that's a new way of doing that bomb strat. I was seeing from
Beer.
He
was just a little too quick with the second one. Otherwise, it worked.
Yeah. It's like I've seen similar strategies with the double bomb. Like I do one where I just drop 2 bombs or throw one and drop one on the chest, but like that was the first time I'd seen the double like throw strat. So
yeah, and it's interesting how many of those came out of the main tournament. What, 3 years ago now was the hard standard only tournament where everybody was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do with this horrible bomb escape opener in a standard start?
yeah, a lot of strategy kind of got developed, like these ones here as well. Like it's cool to see everybody's comfort level with those different strats now.
Mm-hmm.
Dunka going for the Uncle Drop. We know where the where Ganon was, so this isn't a bad idea. It's just unfortunate that it is useless fairy.
Yeah, it's one of those that's a little unfortunate because the drop is so far away from the other entrance, so if you go to check it and it is something that you want, you're still going to be doing a long loop around, so even if that one does turn out to be useless fairy, I feel like you're not really burning all that much time.
Are these entrances even randomized? That was a vanilla Hyrule Castle front there for Dunka.
Never happens.
And leading us on top of the mountain to Tower of Hera. So there's our mountain access. Dunka will be able to rescue the old man, hopefully, while he's up here. And unfortunately, we find the chess game and no money.
Yeah, insufficient rupees to play chess game doesn't happen often, and it's one of those things you almost don't think about. I need 30 rupees to play this game. Well, yeah, you do, but usually by the time you get there, it's in the dark world, you've been playing for 20 minutes-ish. You've got some rupees at that point, right? As soon as you see that, you can just talk to the NPC and get the item. Easy game.
I mean, we didn't even have money for Bottle Vendor from either runner, so slow start on the monies. Now, Beer is going to get to the same spot with Dunka, and Beer's got the money. I will say I'm not sure I'm a fan of Dunka checking this connector, the old lady here, just in case he gets spat out somewhere bad. That's actually probably the best spot for him to get spat out, though. He can still get back over to Light Death Mountain and rescue the old man. But here we go. Chess game for Beer. Gets 10 arrows and 10 more arrows. So Dunka's not missing anything. It's just one of those things that unfortunately will sit in the back of his mind for a while. You don't want a chest like that available that you can't get.
Yeah, although depending on what the rest of the connectors look like, it's entirely possible that he's going to be back up there in the reasonably near future, and he can just kind of mark it off at that point.
I think the big surprise here is this has been a terrible Light Death Mountain. Like, yeah, we just found Old Man Rescue, but nothing else.
Yeah, not a lot to write home about on this one.
Trackers are doing great. There's just nothing to track.
Yeah, no, chat, what you see is what we got.
This has been pretty light on the items. The extent of our items is bombs. Unfortunately, it's that bad. Now, what you are hearing here from Beer is you're hearing his quick swap. What that is able to help you do in this dark room is actually give you an indication of when you do the door transition to rescuing Old Man. So there is actually value to these little clicky noises. Now, did he have to do it the whole way exiting the cave? Probably not, but you know.
But he's a gigantic memer, and we expect that of him.
Yes.
Yeah, there really wasn't anything going on West Light Mountain, was there?
Nope. We find the magic path over there at Sank, and we also get information that Swamp and Skull are our 5/6s over on Beer's side.
And that can be useful because you don't always necessarily want to pick up those dungeon prizes, but if it's something that's going to enable you to check another entrance, or in the case of Green Pendant, to get another item, those are the ones that you may want to give a little more consideration to.
Yeah, and we find one of our first really good entrances for items. We find Cackwell here at Useless Fairy, and there's a real good item. Finally, a trackable item. We have a hookshot on Dunka's side, as well as some big money.
And see, that's going to get him right back up the mountain. He's going to be in a perfect position now with that money to go ahead and check off that one item that he was unable to get, and then he can use the hookshot to go over to the other side and hopefully actually find some progression.
Yeah, and that's where Dunka is going immediately. I will say I'm kind of surprised Dunka did not take that hookshot to go check Potion Shop. Like, there would have been a really easy hook over to the Potion Shop entrance. It's right to left in Dark World, but there is a left to right hookshot spot in Light World that would have saved him some time for that move.
It's one of those that maybe you don't necessarily think about quite so much. It's it's a bit of an uncommon one. Although, if you're an entrance player, and honestly, I don't know how much entrance Dunka really plays outside of the tournament. Maybe it's that kind of thing, right?
Yep. So Dunka going to get his 10 arrows. He also gets 50 rupees, so a slightly better first chest than Beer got. Ice Rod Cave there for Beer gives us a Skull Small. You don't mind seeing at least one of those.
Yeah, always nice to have at least one. You don't really care once the number goes beyond that. It's just one more you can skip somewhere else.
Yeah, I've said on occasion a second one can be good depending on how terrible the Skullwoods layout is. And we find very quickly over on East Death Mountain, there is Ganon's Tower. We have a hookshot, just no hammer to really do much.
Yeah, not a lot of access yet, but this is one of those that you like to know where it is. Now, speaking of, there's that powder. We know where Bat is. We can't get at it yet.
And there's another Skull Small.
Now, one thing about those Skull Smalls, technically speaking, you need all three of them for the boss of that dungeon to be in logic, and the game giving you two of them already, maybe you start thinking about that once the Fire Rod shows up.
I mean, I start thinking about it when I have fire and a sword.
True.
And the other thing to think about for this mode is the Moth is not technically behind Pearl. One of the interesting things about this mode is that the normally vanilla small key is actually not vanilla here.
Yeah, not rolled on the VT branch. This is what, off of Doors, I think. If I'm
I was
not
going to say Avian.
mistaken. Yeah, it's off of Avian, which I think is
It's an
running a
offshoot of
flavor of
Doors.
Doors.
Yeah.
But yeah, that has some of the updated logic, and one of those updated pieces is that the pinball room is not necessarily going to be a small key to Skullwoods. Now, it could be. It's absolutely possible for it to still be that, but it doesn't have to be anymore.
So Beer has been doing the fake flipper checks pretty aggressively here. We'll see. Is he going? He's going for Hylia Island as his last little thing to check out here. Meanwhile, Dunka is heading back onto this set of checks. And Beer finds Bonk Rocks with nothing.
Yeah, mostly a Bonk Rocks with a, alright, I know I'm not looking for this particular item cave later if I'm still hunting for something.
Yeah. I was like, why is Dunka heading back to CAC so quickly? He is just going for Bottle Vendor. Interesting. I thought maybe we would have waited a little bit to see if we could have gotten something a little nicer for a return trip, like a Samaria or find the Dam and Flippers, but nope, Dunka is heading straight there. As you said, Dunka not always... Don't feel like I see him run a ton of entrants as much as I see Beer run it. So I'm going to guess this was Beer's pick.
I think you're right about that, but honestly, I'm not sure.
It is game one. Although Beer is the high seed, and a lot of runners in this tournament have
that have
Usually
been
the high
deferring first
seed,
pick.
high seeds have been deferring a lot in this tournament, so if Beer did pick, I'm a little bit more surprised.
It could have been a deferred pick. Now, Beer has... we've already referred to him as a memer, and he is,
Nope.
and he has a...
Beer picked it. Beer did not defer game 1.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I was wrong.
I was going to say he has a bit of a complicated relationship with entrance sometimes, and it wouldn't have entirely surprised me if he had deferred it and Dunka had just taken it.
Yeah, if you're unsure what we're talking about, these are 3-game series or best of 3s. The hype seed in each race gets, or in each matchup gets to pick or decide on the first game, and that could mean just saying I defer the pick. And we've had a lot of high seeds defer first picks of mode. So, you know, the 3 modes for this tournament have been cross hunt, the 80 keys with boots, and of course open. We've had a lot of open game 3s. Apparently people really like 80 keys and cross hunt in brackets.
That doesn't really surprise me. Entrance largely seems to be the flavor of the past couple of years for Rando, which is great if you like that sort of thing, and not so great if you don't. And 80 keys is pretty much a staple of the game at this point, I would have to say. Then
I was going to say, a lot of people refer to it kind of the mode of kings.
that's a reasonable way to look at it. I feel like it both wants you to know enough about the logic to try to make intelligent skips, and at the same time, how efficiently can you play the entire game? So, yeah, there's a lot to be said, I think, for 80 keys as a mode in general. And then open, well, open's been around for a long, long time, and honestly, I understand that players who've also been around for a long, long time may be thinking, you know what, I've played this mode to the point where I've rubbed all of the edges off of it. It is very smooth in my hand, and I don't really get that sensation of playing rando from it so much anymore.
Yeah. We did see the dam there for Beer here in the eastern area at Saha. Dunka not far behind. I will say I do prefer the eastern area. There's not, like, unless you're getting a glove or you're getting the boots, this area doesn't get a ton faster for checks. It's pretty reliable. Like, and you're not having to worry about glove-based entrances.
Yeah, there really isn't a lot over here that does bad things to you. It's just, you kind of hope that maybe you could have put it off until you found the flute so that you don't have to do the walking from the house, or you found the boots to make the walking a little quicker. But sometimes you just don't find those things in a timely manner, and such is life.
I mean, the crazy thing is, we're starting to, like, I feel like we're running out of entrances, and there we go. I was like,
there
we
go.
gotta
Double
find
connector.
something. I'm not even looking at the connector side. I'm like, we need some items.
Yeah, no, we've got 7 items and then 2 entrances available to us all of a sudden just by walking into one cave. Oh, look, the other castle tower small key. Now, we still don't have a sword, so agate doesn't mean a whole lot to us, and we don't have a lamp, which means it's not in logic even if we did.
And we do know that we have the Hyrule Castle small key, so we don't necessarily care about the lumberjack to get to back of escape. We've got options. But woof.
Yeah,
really?
I think that Pod Small 2, which is definitely not one of those Pod Small breakpoints that you think about when you start talking about, oh, I want to know the logic pod. 2 small keys doesn't mean anything. I think that was the best thing that was found in those 7 items.
Yep. Okay, so one of our exits on that Paradox Cave does put us at the Dark Shopping Mall. We can't get back through it. Also, we find Mimic Cave that we can't do anything about, so looking like a dead end. But we get Hype Cave, okay.
Yeah, here's Johnny. Let's see. These large item caves have so far not really been paying out blue cane? Blue bombs? Arrow of Destiny, and wow.
Ugh.
We are 0 for 3 on large item caves doing basically anything.
Yeah, Hype Cave, Paradox Cave, and the Well. All like the Well was actually good with Hook and Pearl.
Oh, right. Pearl was in there too. I was like, yeah, we've got Hook out of the entirety of those, but nah, we got Pearl as well. All right, so we're 1 for 3. 1 for 3 is, I guess, not terrible.
Yeah, and so Beer is going to go for the fake flipper here to get out of this. He really only has to get to the first piece of ice here, although he is going to... Okay, so he is going to play for West Ark World. Oh, that was scary. So yeah, he could have played for the pod area. He could have played for this. He's going to go for these checks, so he's going to hit up the Dark Potion Shop and then work over to West Ark World. Probably a good set of checks for him.
Yeah, something dark, and he just says no.
Yeah, no real big reason to scout it out. Meanwhile, Dunka is going to go through that old man start point, find out that it's just the desert, right? We saw that on Beer's side a little earlier.
Not really going to do anything for you unless you can get your hands on the flute. You know, theoretically, the out-of-logic dark side of that could come out somewhere useful still. Unless Beer's gone through it.
I don't recall seeing anything special from that, so... the dam, or the flooded item, just a few bombs, so still... Like, I'm gonna guess, like, Beer is out of logic here, but, like, I'm gonna guess that what he's done is putting him closer to where bottom of Paradox was gonna let us out. Like, my thought is that bottom Paradox was probably West Ark World, and there is something over here.
It's as reasonable a guess as any.
That entrance we found on Dark Death Mountain was Laser Bridge exit, I think you're referring to. Unless I missed a different one. So, not a ton of options there.
And now everyone's favorite entrance game, how terrible is Skull Woods today?
It's great! Oh wait, no. Really solid work through that room from Beer, though. That can be that's a really tough room without a weapon sometimes, and he really did a nice job getting through it.
Yeah, it's one of those rooms that'll do the same thing as long as you do the same thing, but it's pretty picky about what the right thing is, and what you just saw from Beer is, in fact, the right thing.
Okay, so Beer's not going to check where the connector side is. He's going to walk to it instead of doing the extra screen transitions inside. We'll see, though, is Skull reasonable? It is! This is actually...
I love that little spin around. Wait, I didn't expect this to be a halfway decent Skull Woods. Now what do I do?
I was going to say, that's a little jig of excitement.
Ah, we've got some bumper cave over on Dunka's side. I didn't see where he went in to find that, and he can't really do anything with it yet.
I think he dropped from the Paradox entrance. I thought he was walking over it that way. But I did not catch where it let out, so it only let out somewhere where he could check one entrance.
There's that non-Skullwood small key in Pinball Room. It wasn't really more exciting than a Skullwood small key, but here we are. Now we know.
And Dunka's going to go for Dark Cross in the back of Escape here with his hookshot and small key.
Okay, I don't hate it. It's out of logic without some kind of a fire source, but he knows that. He's a smart runner. He can piece it all back together later. The Turtle Rock Big Chest entrance. Turtle Rock East there for beer.
Yeah, Turtle Rock. We could get to Turtle Rock West from it, but I mean, beer wants to just follow this. Like, let me hit the entrances. Let me hit the item checks I know exist. Beer, I disagree.
Oh, hey, Eastern Palace. Bye, Eastern Palace.
That's a hammer in Dark Cross, by the way.
Ooh, that's an interesting get.
Yeah, so where's the lamp? Because that looks like that's what we need to really start opening the seed up, and we are short that lamp.
Yeah, I really would not be surprised to see Dunka in the very near future take that connector back up from the front of Hyrule Castle to Tower of Hera, and then hang a quick eastern trip across that bridge there on top of Death Mountain, because he's got access to the entrances up on the top now. Ooh, and meanwhile, Beer's got some fancy footwear.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how that... The other thing for Dunka is he knows where GT is right now.
Oh, you're right. The hammer along with that hookshot gives him a pretty decent chunk. Now, he's only really got that blue cane and some bombs if he wants to get to Ice Armos right now, but it's a lot of checks otherwise. Maybe you find yourself a swingy or something in there. That hammer for that fight is so terrible.
Yeah, no, that's not a fun fight. Even with, like, he'll have full health. But there we go. Dunka finding full Dark World access. Getting his glove out of the back of Escape. So all those back 4 checks, that's what we were looking for, folks. There is opening up the rest of this one. On the plus side, that also for Dunka means he will get the boots pretty shortly because he's going to be in that Village of Outcast area.
Yeah, with the glove, we've also got all of these glove checks opening up. We're going to go ahead and check the Light Mountain Ascent, see what's going on. Just a fortune teller.
And Dunka can also get Magic Bat here at Sanctuary, so definitely some good options for him opening up, although is he not walking a little back and forth, but does remember, oh wait, I do want to check the bat.
Yeah, may as well go ahead, get it now, scratch it off the list.
I gotta wonder, like, where's our lamp? Because how does the seed work? What are we missing? Oh God.
Well, hi
lamp. Okay, so were the flippers available somewhere, or do we have different Dark World access we didn't find?
Yeah, I feel like we have to have missed a Dark World connector somewhere, because with both the glove and the hammer, with the being fire locked, and then the lamp being in the Dark World, we've got to be able to get there somehow.
Yeah. So yeah, Dunka heading back to that Hera entrance you were talking about, gonna walk across the mountain. So we'll get to check the top of Paradox Cave, and then I would assume probably take the middle drop here to get the 2 entrances in the middle drop. Floating Island, nothing though. There's our Brothers connector at the Arrow game. And nope, Dunka is going for the left drop. Okay, that's a good connector for Beer back to Dark World right now while he doesn't have actual access. That was a Link's House Mock Rocks connecting over to Aero Games, so good ways to get back to this area for him.
And as you had surmised, Dunka probably taking that left-hand drop because he knows, oh, well, if I just follow up on that, I go right into Ganon's tower, and I've got all of these checks just waiting here for me to make them.
Yeah, I will say, like, from an entrance player's perspective, usually middle drop is best because it's 2 entrances to check instead of this one at the top of spiral entrance. Plus, there's a lot of other ways to kind of get that. Now, of course, Dunka has seen the laser bridge exit, so maybe hoping for a mirror to kind of be his route back to it. I will point out we did get a small key there for Ganon's tower. I thought we were going to skip map chest. We might open up map chest, given that find. And yes, we are going to get to see the map chest here on left side. And cool because, oh,
I have it on good authority that key is never in that chest, humorously enough.
I was going to say, I think every time I start thinking that again, I've seen it once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Bit of a fascinating find. Now, if a bow comes out, all of a sudden you could do the climb if you wanted to. Now, there's some key logic implications to making that climb. You may.
There's
not
also
want to
the fact that we don't have fire.
Oh yeah, we would also have to find fire down here, wouldn't we?
Yep. I mean, we could climb without the bow. That wouldn't be fun, but it's reasonable. You're requesting some help from the mini Moldorm as Dunka gets the big key to Eastern Palace. That could be interesting for Dunka.
Yeah, it gives him one more check that Beer is definitely not going to have anytime soon, because having cleared out the rest of it, you don't imagine that even when he gets that key, he's going to think, I'm going to run back to Eastern Palace. He's going to wait until he has a bow.
The thing is that does that big key for Dunka make him say when he finds Eastern to say, no, I'm not going? Like, you get that big key, and like some people, it changes your mental math on doing Eastern Palace without a bow.
Yeah, that is also possible. Small key to Hera, huh? Alright. That doesn't do Dunka any good without fire, but it's a thing he's got now.
Yeah, here goes the, Beer finding Pod we talked about earlier, but Dunka about to drop in on Ice Armos, 6 hearts, green mail. He's going to pull out the Burna. Hopefully he waits long enough for them to start moving to where he needs them. Okay. He's got... See, that's just too early, unfortunately. You want to wait until they start circling like this, and then engage Burna, because then you can kind of group them.
Yeah, and he is going to burn that potion to at least get several of them down, but...
Yeah, get able to get them too.
Yeah, he's going to be in a position here where, unless he gets really lucky with the end state, and he doesn't, now it's hammer time.
And killing these guys without a better weapon, especially the enraged one, is going to be... It's going to be rough. And yeah, this fight is really giving Dunka a tough time. Oof. Unfortunate for Dunka there, taking that death right on that last Armos. So I don't see him going back to there for a little while.
Yeah, it is a really rough equipment set, and It's 2 additional checks plus 1 of those 10 Triforce pieces you need to complete the seed hidden away behind there. So it's one of those things that's going to sit in the back of your mind now. I had my shot, and now I'm going to have to go take another shot later. That's not really where you want to be in a race.
By the way, I missed it, but Beer's got a sword.
Yeah,
Found a sword here in Pod.
Yeah, he's been fishing around in Pod for a little while now. I'm not surprised he's found things. Looks like he's also setting up the death warp so that he can leave Pod and go do something else here in a minute.
Yeah, Dunka restocking on the potions. He's pretty good for money there, so not a big problem to spend. And it looks like he's going to head into Dark World. We will see. He'll get the boots shortly, which is good for him. We'll see if he does end up in Eastern, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. Dunka ended up in GT and wasn't able to get that Triforce piece from the basement. Beer had gone into Hera, but he didn't have that sword yet, and of course he doesn't have the hammer from Dark Cross either, so he didn't have anything to kill Moldorm with, so both of them have already left a Triforce piece on the table.
Well, and I will say, I really like Beer's approach here on this one. You know, there's some people who'd be like, why didn't he go back for Hera right there? Like, it's a Triforce piece, he can get it right now. What Beer's gonna do is he knows what that is. There's beyond, like, what's the value for him necessarily to get that Triforce piece right now. Maybe I can come back with the Hera Big Key or the Hera Small and fire. Like, I can do this later and maybe get another item. I'm not really too worried. Like, maybe it's a pendant that I care about. Maybe it's that green pendant. But until I know, I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, and plus, maybe I get a better weapon. Doing Fighter Sword Moldorm can be a little hairy sometimes, and even if the fight goes well, it can still be kind of time-consuming, whereas if you can get up there with a hammer or a tempered sword, then all of a sudden it looks a lot nicer and goes a lot quicker. So, Beer has gone ahead and chosen to make the Aga 1 play after taking the chests in here.
I'm surprised by this. Meanwhile, Dunka's doing a drop down here? Like, he didn't need to do the drop. I guess that... Is that quicker than just walking back?
I don't know. It probably depends on where the drop actually lands you. I don't know, Jesse. I'm a little confused.
Okay, Telethar telling me it's good. So I'll trust Telethar. Like... Okay. My instincts are usually pretty good, but I like when I have somebody else who's kind of in that position to also kind of be like, no, it's good. This was Beer's choice of mode tonight. He also seems to be standing about an entire football field away from this wizard. But we are going to get to see some of the pyramid area here, or post-pyramid. The ledge giving us nothing. And Beer's going to head over to the pod area. So this was the one set of checks he skipped out on when he decided to go with that fake flipper the first time. Well, realistically, I will say, okay, there's our back of old man start. Interesting. But as I was going to say, like, honestly, Beer getting the kill here does give him a quick access to back of escape for the glove as well as Dark Cross. Like, on the one hand, he is getting this access to East Dark World, but the other thing is, we know he's going to really benefit from the back of escape play now. And meanwhile, Beer finding Hookshot Cave.
But Dunka did get the blue boomerang out of the Turtle Rock big chest there.
I mean, we always need at least one boom.
Yeah, it's nice to have one.
Another item cave of multiple items being absolutely worthless. What is going on?
Yeah, the game's kind of giving us the drip feed of items this seed, isn't it?
Just a bit.
Yeah, another one of those GT smalls that'll make Beer's choices about whether or not to enter map room just a little easier, I'd say.
Did Beer not check these entrances yet?
I don't think he came down this far.
Okay. I thought Duncan was going to kill the Pokey, but instead decides to skip out. And gets another one of those GT smalls. Interesting. Yeah, I might be with you, Telethar, on this one. This is looking like it might have something to do with the bumper connector to get back into logic. But I don't even know if that's enough. Yeah, but does Bumper give us West Dark World? Oh, duh. Cape was in CT. Duh. Thank you. I'm having a dumb moment. There's our bow and our flippers. Nice set of finds.
Yeah, another multiple item cave that finally pays out. It took a little while, but finally at long last.
And that's actually one we have access to. There's all of our logic. For sure. The flippers is what gives us access to West Dark World now for the lamp. To put our glove and hammer in logic. Our lamp was here in Eastern. So that gives us logic to our lamp. For sure, that's what the seed was looking for. Unfortunately, Beer finding a GT here without his hammer or his glove. Well, more so the hammer. We don't really care about a glove for GT.
Humorously enough, that's the way that it worked out for Dunka as well. It's just that Dunka has had those items for long enough that he's already come back.
Yeah. Well, and realistically, like, Beer's going to have more decisions to make when he comes back the second time. Like, he'll have a little bit better of an option. Like, he can do full left side with a bow and then do the climb because he's got fire and a bow, and he'll get the big key out of map chest, I would assume. Like, Beer is finding things a little bit, like, you almost would be a little concerned about the fact that, like, Dunka could have had some advantages here with some of these finds in terms of order, but they're both missing the perfect route on these things. Like, they both find Eastern and both dip Eastern without the ability to beat it. They both find GT before they get the hammer. Like, these little things that could have given each of them an advantage are just not working out perfectly.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where as a runner you start thinking, man, my opponent is making perfect plays. My opponent has perfect vision on the seed, and I have to be behind now, right?
So there is the glove for Beer, and gonna head to Dark Cross where we know he is about to get the hammer. We hope for Dunka that he heads over to Chess Game because that is a Gina with his boots.
Yeah, he's still in the Village of Outcasts area. It seems pretty unlikely that he's going to skip out on that.
Yeah.
Dunka has been walking for quite some time, but finally it's not going to take an entire hour. He'll get to go fast.
I will say the tough question here is that we know the flippers and the bow now. That's going to be a big advantage for Beer. Is like Dunka's making this loop around the rest of the world now. He'll be able to continue this loop for Dark World, and he'll get, his sword out of pod probably. He'll get equipment with this play, but Beer now is going to start hitting dungeons sooner. Like, I'm going to expect Beer's going to hit, does he go back to GT immediately for 2 pieces? He probably goes there soon, but Swamp Palace, he has the big and the small and the flippers, and he drained the dam. Like, that's a full clearable dungeon right now.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Beer has access to quite a bit. If he wants to use the lamp to sequence break, he can also get the piece out of the back of Skull Woods. I know that Dunka's seen that. Has Beer seen that?
I think they've both seen it. I want to say that was in CAC, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought so.
Was...
But every once in a while, my brain on entrance,
I think that was Smith.
It's just, it can be a little questionable.
If I remember correctly, it was Smith. House was back of Skull, so yeah.
And not unlike Dorm, maybe that's one that you want to put off until your offensive equipment set looks a little better than this. But it's something to bear in mind. It's a piece that if he needed it, he could get it.
Yeah, so realistically, we're going to see some... this will probably be a pretty good set of clearing here in CAC. Our Beer can also take after Swamp. He could just go back up the mountain, because we did have that Hyrule Castle that led to Hera. So, like, Beer has options to get back to GT here.
Yeah, but meanwhile, he's got this full clearable swamp palace. It's got a Triforce piece at the end of it. Now 8 other items left in it. Maybe you can find something good in here. Still got plenty of keys outstanding. Fire rod. Maybe you don't need those medallions, but maybe you want one of them. It kind of depends on what's tucked away behind those entrances.
And I will say, when Dunka finds Hera shortly, we'll have the ability to go after that Moldorm kill as well. So I said Beer might have the first Triforce piece. It could still go to Dunka at this point. The flippers and the bow were at DDM start. So the inverted DDM start location on Dark Death Mountain, so because that was Mini Moldorm Cave. And I was saying that Mini Moldorm Cave, I believe, is the logical way to get everything else for this seed, because that does give us access to West Dark World to get Lamp, which gives us Glove and Hammer.
And it's one of those entrances that can just be difficult to get at. It's even though it feels relatively easy, and we've got a connector that goes to Hera, and you can just hop in that portal and trot your happy feet over to it with the boots. It's still a little out of sight, out of mind sometimes.
Yep. Especially given the fact that we had seen the Spike Cave entrance was just the other side of the Old Lady connector. And that Old Lady connector was on Light Death Mountain, West Light Mountain. So a lot of people might say, like, it's only one entrance. What compels me to go back? But hey, we do get this big key to Hera as well as another GT small behind that bow. And yeah, left side swamp first makes a lot of sense here. Beer was going to full clear this dungeon regardless. Just based on like the timing of everything. If you're gonna full clear, it just makes more sense to do the left side first. It's actually even a little bit faster to do it this way.
Yep, you just gain that little bit of extra efficiency. If you were gonna do it anyway, doing it first works.
Yep. It's definitely more of a key sanity play than like a typical non-keys move.
Yeah, no, don't think that you're going to see a whole lot of that in open mode. But yeah, when all the maps and compasses and whatnot are shuffled around, all of a sudden you don't run the risk, at least not so much, of that just being map compass to this dungeon sitting there on left side swamp, and all of a sudden you've blown 45 seconds to a minute.
And yeah, you're right, Incoherent. The one thing I will say is, like, I wouldn't want to do left side because I've got map and compass and then get, like, big key off of Argus. I might feel a little bad in an open mode going back in for just the big chest. It's a tough one sometimes. Big key can change that equation for sure. But Beer into Argus. Good doubles so far to start the fight. Except for that stubborn puff and that stubborn puff.
Yeah, this can be a little tricky with the fighter sword to get the doubles there.
Say really good work with the hammer here from Beer.
Yeah, no, that's
solid kill.
That hitbox can be very tricky with Argus moving around, and no, that looked pretty clean, all things considered. First Triforce piece on the board for homemade beer, sub 1 hour. BigDunka will be in a position to tie that back up here very shortly, though.
And yeah, this is Beer heading back up to Light Death Mountain. So he'll come out the Hera entrance and go over to Right Side Mountain. I'm going to expect Beer to probably play this a little more conventionally than we saw from Dunka, probably doing the middle drop down. Get 2 entrances here and then be able to hit GT next. Okay, I know nothing, apparently. I'm sorry, chat.
That was a quality chicken toss there. You can see almost the entirety of the chicken.
Yep. My thought was like, hey, that middle drop down, 2 entrances, you want that. And then both runners have said, no, I'd rather do the left drop.
Oh, you never know. I've heard a lot of people recently trying to predict what runners are going to do, and the runners just keep doing something else.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do the other night. And I had the same thing happen.
Yep, Dunka is going back in here, going to go ahead and see what is in the basement of Tower of Hera. Does have that Triforce piece on the board from Moldorm now.
A little unfortunate there, trying to do those. But Beer is skipping map chest here of GT. He is only going to get 1 Triforce piece here. He cannot get... Like, that's your big key for GT, unfortunately, and Beer's not going to get it.
That's really interesting because he came in here with more of the small keys than Dunka did, and Dunka made the choice after picking up that second one in the Stalco's room to go ahead and open the map chest door and see what was behind it, and Beer just says no. He says, nope, I've got 3 keys and I don't care.
Well, that's the thing. As Telethar says in chat, you have 2 small keys. 2 small keys is kind of that magic number in entrance or in key sanity modes for doing that play. Like, as soon as you get that second small key, you know I can do map chest without worry. Like, 0 or 1 is the skip. 2 is kind of the I will open that door. So definitely a very surprising move from Beer there. Does limit his plays. Like, we thought this was going to be a 2 Triforce piece GT for him. Was going to be a pretty cruddy climb, but was going to have great options.
Yep, Dunka's going to go ahead and get into this pod area now.
Yeah, I think the hard part here for Beer is, like, if we don't find, what brings Beer back to check map chest.
That's a great question, and I don't know that there's a good answer to it. The sheer blind luck? Sheer blind luck is always on the table.
Yeah. And now we're going back for...
I think he realized he did a dumb and he's just going to cover it.
I guess. I mean, on its face, like, this is a mode we know that Beer picked. He probably feels pretty comfortable with a bit of an advantage in this race. It's just one of those things you're kind of like... You kind of feel bad. And I thought getting the GT big, he might have thought, like, let me go to big chest. And instead is taking the death warp. Like, this is a route.
Yeah, this is almost a... Alright, now I've kind of tilted myself, and I'm not thinking clearly.
Yeah, I have to believe there's a bit of frustration on Beer's end here.
Yeah, that is a bit of a beer thing, and when I was saying much earlier on in the broadcast that he has a bit of a complicated relationship with entrance modes sometimes, that, yeah, this is... You're seeing it. You're seeing it right now.
While Dunka going back through Hookshot Cave after hitting Race Game, so we did not see all of pod area from Beer. After he got to here, he did head back into Kakariko to hit the South Cac checks of Library and Right Race. So this is Beer, or this is new stuff for Dunka going to the pod entrance. We have not seen this entrance yet.
Ooh, quality cannonball room dash there from Beer.
Yeah. Beer has an advantage. I don't know if I'd say it's miles ahead. He's definitely got some advantages. Beer's second trip to GT here is definitely going to be a lot more profitable than it was for Dunka. Because unfortunately Dunka took a really rough death on Ice Armos. So, like, this is working out better for Beer. He's just got to be a little careful.
Yeah, you have potions. They're there to be used. That's what your safeties are for.
Like, and I think the big thing is like what I would say is Beer's biggest advantage is the 2 items out of Mini Moldorm Cave. That those flippers and bow are just, if we want to talk about what the big deal is right now, it's those, because that's kind of going to be the harder thing for Dunka to get back to.
Yeah, theoretically there's another bow out there. Maybe Dunka finds it and manages to neutralize that advantage, but yeah, right now the flippers are just kind of sitting there as a thing. There's not really a replacement for them if you need to go do swamp at some point. And that Landmo 2, another one of those fights that's a little questionable on the current equipment set, but Beer gets through it eventually.
Yeah, Beer just taking this a little bit safer at this point. Understandable. And nothing off of the catfish either, so... As always, the fun torches one here without fire rod, so going to have to light each of these with the lamp. Luckily with boots, it's not going to be too worrying for timing.
Yeah, you've got a little time to work with there, but it always feels like the clock is just counting down on you in that room, because, well, it kind of is.
Meanwhile, Dunka is returning for some of these glove entrances. Top of GT, though, so far, first 2 checks, nothing. We do have one more item before getting the Triforce piece off of Moldorm 2, and then we do have a reason to kill Aga 2 here. Beer will be able to get the Uncle checks after killing off Aga 2.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if I was remembering correctly and that we hadn't seen that particular drop yet. And,
yeah, that's one drop we have not gone through yet.
That's what you're telling me, so I'm going to buy it.
And there's our other end of bumper. So that hookshot bumper cave entrance, not the answer that we thought it might have been. As we said, it is. What that does, though, is like if Dunka is paying attention to logic, he can really kind of pinpoint that he needs to get back to that Dark Death Mountain entrance. But I don't know if he's necessarily looking there right now.
Yeah, as I was talking about it earlier, it's one of those checks that it can be really difficult, even if you're staring at your entrance tracker and you think, oh well, there's a square there. It's still really tough for that to really jump out at you sometimes. Beer taking the over on round 1 there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that was not a terrible pattern. Is that maybe a 2?
Maybe, but I don't think so. I think it gave him 1.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because he got all 3 of those shots to pretty much hit. Unfortunately, Aga does not respond to getting hit at the same time. No, I guess that was a double. Because I think that was a...
0-1-2-2-1, I think.
Yeah. Good old sick kid here at the waterfall. But only a compass. As Beer drops into the pyramid to go talk to the uncle.
Who loves you very much, but isn't all that helpful.
Well, the thing is, we know this is all locked behind 4 GT smalls, so I can't say I'm super surprised. Because I think, wasn't one of our GT smalls behind 4 TR smalls?
That could be right. I do not remember off the top of my head.
I want to say Lava Island was a GT small as well, so like...
okay, yeah.
I think this was very, very deep in our logic tonight. But yeah, Beer has opened up a 3-1 Triforce piece lead here. Really starting to pick up the pace. We know of at least 3 more pieces Beer can pick up between Eastern, Hera, and Skull.
Again, it doesn't really get him into shouting distance of finishing up the game, so I don't expect him necessarily to go rushing any of those right away, but they are things that are on the table for him.
Yep. And not surprisingly, Beer back into Turtle Rock. Gonna check out those few checks that are available with the big key.
Yep, and Dunka has seen these. I don't recall that he really got anything all that fascinating out of them.
I don't believe we did. Dunka is heading back up to that Hera entrance, so this could be hitting the middle drop as well as going back for Ice Armos. Maybe? Maybe he hits up the Dark Death Mountain checks. Okay, so we are going to East Death Mountain. I'm going to say this is the time we have to do the middle drop.
There's your middle drop.
I've been begging for this, folks.
Oh,
no.
And the first thing you get is Spiral Cave video game, please.
Oh, I feel terrible now.
Maybe the other one will be better. Okay. Okay,
Baja's
that's
good. Eastern Vanilla Green Pendant.
Cash money, heart container, big key. Nikita pod, alright.
Beer, when he gets back there, is going to be pretty happy. He's got 5 pod keys. Dunka's still needing that bow to get through that. And yeah, we're having the return back to Ice Armos.
At least this time Dunka has the sword. You can count on phase 2, if still slow, at least being reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, we had a boomerang as well. Is that not reasonable? Are memes unreasonable?
Time-consuming, perhaps. Some more than others.
Yeah, here goes a beer for his fourth Triforce piece out of Eastern as Dunka's going to approach piece number 2. But yeah, I mean, we're still missing quite a bit to finish out this race. You know, there's definitely some ways Dunka can make up ground for sure. This is far from over. We still don't have big fire to really deal with some of these. Like, we know where ice is, but no way to even approach Cold Stare. We don't have a cane yet, so there's a few bosses we just don't have any way to really deal with even.
Yeah, and we haven't seen the mire area yet at all. We don't have a mirror, so there are a lot of mirror-locked checks that are unavailable to us for finding some of these things that we need, potentially.
But yeah, I mean, at this rate, like, Beer doesn't have much incentive even to go after the, And once again, for Dunka, unfortunately, just activating that Canis of Berna too early, you really have to wait until the circle here starts to move to get the maximum efficiency out of that cane strat. As we said, though, having the sword does make this fight a lot nicer. So that's good. It's just unfortunate that, you know, couldn't really maximize the Berna strats. And we are getting some boom strats. Thank you, Dunka.
I figured once he managed to stack them up with the boom, he'd go back to a little more sword, which is at least a little more damaging to them. But no, he was giving the fans what they want.
I mean, if you don't know, it does take... How many boomerang hits is it to kill
48.
an Armos? I was going to say, I thought it was... Yeah.
I've
done it. I've done it for jokes on my own stream. It's fun, but I wouldn't do it seriously ever.
I feel like you did that for charity once.
Possibly. Meanwhile, Beer does take down Armos 1 and does get his 4th piece as Dunka pulls piece number 2 out of the GT Big Key room.
Yeah, and this is one of those things with that lack of mirror. We've got Dunka walking back out now. Ooh, he's gonna stop by Fairy Room here and see if he can't bottle one of these. I wonder if that's in preparation for anything in particular, or if that was just a thought, hey, there are fairies here, I can bottle this really quick, maybe I need it, maybe I don't. I can always throw it away later if I don't.
That's the thing, I figured we weren't gonna get a climb here, even with the big key and everything, like, I didn't think Dunka was gonna feel pretty good about a mimic clip, given, like, he did a good potion unlock, but it didn't tell me he was ready for a mimic clipping. That is our Desert Small, by the way, on the Skull Big Chest. My damn, I could be wrong, but I don't think we've seen Desert at all.
I don't think we have. I think I saw Desert earlier in a different race.
Yeah, we saw back of Desert. I don't think we've seen front.
Yeah, we've seen Desert North. But yeah, as far as the mane and the wings of Desert Palace, I don't think we've seen those anywhere.
And yep, here we go. Dunka is heading to that DDM start point. This is a huge for him. He really needed this to kind of start clawing back some more time and not fall too far back. Yeah, I just realized Beer has a ton of rupees. Jeez.
Yeah, no, somewhere along the way, I think he found basically all of the 300s. There was one up GT, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that was a 100, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of money on the tracker there for beer at the moment. That HUD says you can buy everything.
Dunka's going to go after those 2 items in Aga Tower. He will not kill Aga, I would assume.
Can't
Especially
imagine
after
that
he
he
gets
has
the
any
cape.
reason to.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get that cape, so even the minor benefit of the bat being removed doesn't help him at this point.
Beer, you have no mirror. You cannot mirror block delete with the cape. If that had worked, I was going to be very surprised.
I mean, haven't you tried doing something with the wrong item? Like using a
but it's
bottle
usually
to do try to mirror bunny?
Yeah. Mirror block delete in a dungeon is a personal favorite of mine. In case anybody doesn't understand why Jesse's laughing at that, that's because if you mirror in a dungeon, you just go back to the start of it. So if you try to delete a block with it, you go back to the start of it just like you're supposed to.
Believe me, Incoherent, I've done the same thing. Like, one of the best clips on my channel is me doing it for a good 2+ minutes. I've done it. It doesn't feel good when you realize you're on the wrong item. I think I even did it during this tournament already once. I want to say I did it against P-Train and Cross Hunt. But we have Dunka into Swamp Palace now, gonna get his 3rd piece as Beer is going through Zora. So our runners are kind of retracing each other's steps. I'm trying to think what the next big, piece is here, because I'm wondering, like, Mind DM, I think we might have to go out TR West.
We do have that spiral cave that Dunka saw and noped out of because he wanted to get back into GT. On the middle drop there on Eastern Light Death Mountain.
Yeah, that might be the other possibility.
Because there's an item of some kind in it, and then the connector is going to go somewhere.
Yeah, like those are the 2 candidates I'm really kind of leaning towards as being something. But this is Beer going for that right side of Hyrule Castle again, end up at Hera. He'll get to Saha now with the green pendant turn in available, so good find for him. Unfortunately, he's also going to see Spiral Cave, and whew, we'll see how he handles that.
At this point, how much else does he really have left? It may be one of those, well, I hop down now, but am I just coming right back? I may just be coming right back.
Okay, first drop down. What are we doing with it? We're frustrated.
Being unhappy, yep.
Don't blame you.
I don't like you right now, video game. Please try again.
And unfortunately, the green pendant is just red mail, so not a great find there.
Oh, right, this pod big, along with all of those pod smalls that Beer has.
Oh, so that's good for him at least, actually. Like, that's a lot. Now that I think about it, like, pod big is a good dungeon clear now for him. Pod was South Dark World. I want to say that was like Hype Cave, Bomb Shop, Dark Lake Hylia, one of those 3. which is actually pretty close to Hera. So, like, realistically, Beer goes to Pod. He'll beat Pod, but he'll also get his Hera big key out of right side Pod, and that might send him back into Hera. So, like, he's got 2 Triforce pieces really coming shortly, I'd say.
Oh, interesting. Dunka is not going to go for the diver down here.
If I remember correctly, like, Dunka was never a big fan of the diver down. I could be wrong, like, I could be misremembering, but was never... Yeah, he does not dive.
Yeah, fair enough. It's not the strangest I don't do this tech that I've ever heard from a longtime runner in the community.
Yep.
I'm very specifically thinking of somebody who still to this day does not know or do the hammer yump in Pod. And no, chat, it's not Jesse. It's not even me.
I just realized I don't think we had seen that entrance. I don't think we had seen Potion Shot from either one of them.
Oh, the actual Potion Shop entrance? Yeah, you could well be right about that.
But here we go, Dunka entering his Fighter Sword Argus fight. Both runners will have a 5-6 crystal at this point shortly.
Yeah, Dunka seems to be taking a few more singles here, but he's largely getting through it at about the same rate because Beer had a lot of the doubles kind of get away from him.
Yeah, and unfortunately that one really stinks where you get the pull and then it kind of deletes your sword.
And then
spin.
You get the poke before the spin goes off. Yep.
Yep.
Dunka going with down hammers here. Seems to be working out really well for him. I say that, and then the very last one, he needs one more bite at the apple.
I was going to say, I think both of them kind of had a similar moment. Like, they both had really good starts, and then that last hammer hit kind of, for both of them, was not their cleanest. I was pretty sure we saw all 3 entrances up here in Dark Shopping. I forget what the one up here was, though, so... Oh, Mimic Cave, that's right. Duh.
Yeah, there's that item here. Why don't we just go get it?
Yep.
Not that it's any good, but now we have it.
Meanwhile, Dunka, heading into Vu, I think this is gonna be... Okay, so he's gonna hit the Skullwoods Big Chest. We know that's pretty good because that's the Desert Small. And then, realistically, probably heads back into Village of Outcasts and beats Eastern. And then might continue that down to Palace of Darkness. By the way, if you're wondering why Beer is doing what he's doing, going through Useless Fairy every time, he has to do this. Having killed Aga 1. Yeah, he killed Aga 1, so the portal at that entrance, or the portal at Hyrule Castle, is active. So he can't go to the Hyrule Castle entrance through the front gate. Like, he's not doing this because he wants to heal. His killing of Aga 1, which we were kind of questioning early for its value, is now coming back to bite a little bit. But this is going to be Spiral Cave, so let's see what kind of item we can get out of this one.
And Eastern Palace going to go ahead and pick up that Triforce piece on Dunka's side.
Yeah, that'll even it back up. But Spiral Cave is just a map, so... Wow, I'm...
Where does it go? Show me where it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. There's our Mario area. And
we were looking for something.
Yeah, we have no medallions at all at an hour and a half.
Vanilla Ether and Waterfall Fairy. Okay, a big key to ice. Still nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, that doesn't help in the slightest right now.
I'm going to say that this Mire Cave is going to be desert. One of the desert 3. Like, it's got to be, right? Nope. It's the brewery. But it's the myths. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sure. And all of a sudden, Beer's thinking, wait, which way am I taking this?
Yeah, I thought maybe we would see Pod first. Like, he's been kind of waiting on Pod for a really long time. Maybe he's hoping for Harabig. Like, I'm not sure why we're delaying the Pod Hera combo here. But that's the explanation I'm coming up with. So searching entrances isn't a bad idea right now, though.
Yeah, at this point, he's still going to need some more entrances. Doing the entrance checks is not a bad thing, but yeah, again, he does still have all of that pod access just sitting there on his plate waiting for him.
Yep. I mean, he's done a lot of pod. The point is, there's still, like, he could finish clearing out that dungeon. He has not defeated Helmasaur. He skipped right side. Like, he has quite a few items left available to him.
Dunka's had those 3 bombs sitting there waiting for him for quite some time now.
Gonna get our Smith turn in, see if anything is here. Hey, there's the red cane. So we've got
a check in TR,
check in GT. More if you want to do the logic break.
Beer is the one who taught me how to do that logic break, so it wouldn't entirely surprise me to see that out of him.
Yeah, and here's that pod return play for Dunka. We'll see if anything does come out of this one. And unfortunately, Beer, getting the heart refill here.
Yes, the very untimely refill from the 4 pieces of heart.
Yeah, and so Dunka is making the return trip to pod here a little bit earlier, only at 4 pod smalls. He's going to have to skip. It looks like his skip is going to be Vanilla Big Key Chest. But he gets the Bombos medallion out of the Harmless Hellway. That gives him some options with Ice Palace now.
Yeah, all right. That puts Ice Palace on the menu for Dunka. That is more checks than pretty much anything else that's going to be a going concern for these runners right at the moment. You have to imagine he'll get there in fairly short order.
Yeah, unfortunately, still no Ice Big Key for Dunka. That's, helpful on Beer's side. But we're going to get Hammer Pegs now from Beer, so one of those more entrances. And the library, but the library's worthless. Dude, where is Desert? Where are Desert left, right, and center?
DDM Bridge, Meyer and TR entrances.
I mean, we've got DDM. You're right. I kind of forgot. We, like, with those mitts, we could actually hit the Super Bunny entrances or Hookshot Cave. Like, we've got 4 entrances up there, plus GT, so 5 entrances available with mitts. Even without the medallion, so... And yeah, we also have King's Tomb, so we've got some entrances available with those mitts. It's just a question of when we see Beer kind of go for them. And, like, honestly, Dunka might not go for Spiral Cave for a little bit, given his options, and Dunka's into Pod. So we, you know, I've been kind of pushing to say, when is he going to return? And he's back.
Yeah, all of a sudden, we're an hour and 35 minutes into this thing, and we've got 2 runners in the same dungeon at the same time with equal Triforce piece counts.
Oh, I will say, Beer only has 4 pod smalls. He does not have 5, so that explains his delay a lot better, actually.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Well, sometimes you put it off until you can put it off no longer, and then you go and you get the things you need anyway.
Yeah, that explains it. Like, I if he had 5, I think that really is, like, that's why you don't do it. But, like, if he had 5, I was like, that's why I was kind of pushing that play so hard, and that explains a ton. Yeah, the fact that he had 2 keys when he walked in this second time kind of clued me in that something was not the way I was thinking it worked out. But, you know, we talked about Beer having that Triforce piece lead for a little bit, that 2-piece lead. Dunka into the lead with 5 pieces now. I will say, I think Beer is still, like, overall in the lead just because of the fact that, like, he's got that GT piece, which that climb is not free, and he's got Hera to do. Like, he's got a couple of quick pieces available right now. And the mitts are kind of becoming the next sticking point of this seed, combined with the fact that, honestly, that Cane of Samaria is not great either.
Now, that's in a bit of a rough spot. Although, Beer is going to have a choice to make now if he's going to make the call that gets that Bombos medallion or not.
I think he does the back. I think this will be harmless in Big Chest. From a timing perspective, the fact of the matter is you can get 2 in the back or 1 in the front and 1 in the back. You set yourself up a little better doing harmless hilt here than doing the big key chest. Like, I'll be shocked if he does vanilla here, if he does the vanilla big key.
Yep, and there's the answer to that question. That right-hand turn tells you everything you need to know. He is going to the back, and he's going to take both items there.
Yep, so he'll get the Bombos medallion, opening up a full clearable ice, and not a terrible one at that. Like, it's going to stink from an offensive standpoint just because we lack... Ooh, that was a smooth bow dash. Very nice. Like, it's going to be a cruddy cold stare fight, but he's got red mail. He's got the other tools to make everything else pretty good. And we do have Dunka heading into Ice Palace. Beer goes for the save and quit. He did get the Hera big key, so he's definitely got some incentive to have gone to do Hera, but Ice is probably his next move. So we'll see if he's following Dunka over to Ice Palace.
Yeah, and if so, we're going to see a lot of things from Dunka, and then we're going to see them all again very shortly.
Yeah, and the big issue here is just going to be that Ice Big. Like, if Big Chest is something, as we've said, we think Beer has an advantage. They're tied up on Triforce pieces. Most of their equipment lines up, but it's the Mitts, it's the Samari. That's the big one. Samari is just going to make this dungeon so much better for Beer. Yeah, in terms of the advantage for Beer on this one, I'd say the two big factors is the Ice Armos death for Dunka, and meanwhile, Beer got to flippers and hookshot a lot quicker. If those are flippers and bow, sorry. Those two items have kind of been the big difference between the two, or those two things.
Solid Ice Palace bomb jump there from Dunka. It was second try, but the first one was within range.
What are you talking about? It's first try every time.
Yeah, every time it works anyway.
Yep.
I love that bomb pin Gator Scrap. It
always
just looks good.
It does. But yeah, we're going to see two very different Ice Palace routes here. Beer going to go with the right side Icebreaker as Dunka had to go for the classic Ice Palace bomb jump. Hey, it's a mirror! Oh my gosh!
Okay, that unlocks plenty.
Yep.
Get a little high five there, in and out of the Ice H room.
Now we also have a book that would give us desert entry, but the mirror already does that.
Yeah, it gives you options, I suppose. Plus now with that mirror, it lets you read both of the tablets. But not collect them yet, because we only still have one sword at an hour and 42 minutes.
Well, just wait. We'll get something right here. Big chest of ice. Never mind.
Yep, Dunka is safe from that one, unless he reaches a point later where he feels like he has to go back.
Well, we're going to get to see Ice-T here. Did Dunka skip Ice-T? I think. So we're going to get to see this extra check from Beer. If this is something, could be quite a big deal. Just a heart container, though. Okay, so the two checks Beer has made here are not going to be the big deal. The fact that we got the mirror is amazing. Does open up quite a few checks. It is looking like the mitts are still going to be necessary. I would probably expect us to... Either DDM is going to be... It's DDM or Mire area. And really, you can route them together for the most part. You wouldn't be able to get bottom of Dark Death Mountain, but you could still get quite a bit at the top.
Dunka 2 puffs down. Got some solid hammer action going here. Oh, and then the final puff comes right into him. But he did bottle that fairy earlier. Did he keep it? No, he didn't. Oh, now that's perhaps even more punishing than that Ice Armos death. Yeah,
there was ways to kind of route around an Ice Armos death, then be back later. A death on cold that's a lot of time. And maybe, Dunka can wait until he gets Ice Big or Fire Rod and some better equipment, but that's still, like, that's minutes. And this is, and as Chad is pointing out, like, 2 of the pieces now that Dunka or Beer has are Ice and GT Climb. Those are minutes for both those pieces.
Yeah, Dunka is going to need outs in finding ways to get quicker pieces elsewhere, and it's starting to look like the seed may just be too linear to really allow it.
Yep.
Now Dunka's going to take this mirror and get up on top of Hyrule Castle and get some new entrances checked for us.
As Beer goes over to Graveyard Ledge with that same goal in mind. Hey, it's a desert.
We've been looking for you, Desert. Tell us, where have you been for the past hour and 45 minutes?
Ever since we got that desert small, it was kind of like, can we hit?
Beer, you have the mitts. Thank you. It's going to
I'm a
two
little
crater for the
concerned.
fun of it. And I would have given him less grief if he'd gotten it, but he didn't.
So yeah, there's our first check. That Desert Torch with a bottle of blue goo. That's not bad. The map chest here, though, for nothing. Oh, we saw TR West. My bad. For some reason, I had forgotten we'd seen the eye room. But Beer is going to take that Cane of Samaria he got and go for Laser Bridge. Meanwhile, Dunka, the only real prize besides a bottle, which is nice, is the silver arrows out of Desert Palace Big Key Chest.
It's tough to turn those down when we still have not managed to find more than one sword at this point. This mode is weird, Jesse. Sometimes it just doesn't want to give swords ever.
Yeah, and it's not like we've been scrimping on checks. Like, we have checked a lot of entrances and a lot of items. Like, think of how much we've seen of GT. We've seen some of our more dense dungeons. And still only one sword to show for it. Like, where are the other swords? Looking like maybe Meyer will have at least one. Or Laser Bridge, I guess, would be the other main possibility.
Yeah, I was really expecting at least one sword to come out of Ice Palace, and that just didn't happen.
I mean, Swamp didn't, and that's usually the meme spot, so... Laser Bridge, though, 0 for 2 so far. 0 for 3, 1 check left. You're going with the Cape Strats, and just another piece of heart. And Laser Bridge is on Desert left, so there is... Like, this kind of makes it harder for Beer to get back to checkerboard in a sense. Like, because I think he's going to open up the front of Desert with the book. Meanwhile, Dunka finding Floating Island, so he got his way up to DDM without the mitts. This is good for him.
Yeah, that's one of those things that he absolutely needed to be able to find, because otherwise, yeah, he has to go find those items, and the items are not necessarily in places that are really convenient for him any longer.
Meanwhile, Beer finds at the front of Desert Palace, there is Thieves, one of the missing dungeons. Dunka, though, found Blind's Hut at the on DDM, the top of DDM here. Gonna get half magic, that's nice. But the big key to Desert Palace, that is another clearable dungeon for him. And if you're hoping, like, to keep Dunka in this race, hopefully he goes through Spiral here. The problem is, I think he's going to have more incentive to drop and do the 2 DDM checks instead of Spiral.
Yeah, he's also going to get this 0 Crystal GT entry.
We're still looking for Myers, so, you know, possible? Oh, Super Bunny, okay.
Ah, the bad side of Super Bunny, alright. I have it on good authority from people who play a lot more entrants than I do that this is the side of Super Bunny that you always find.
More often than not, yes. Yeah, and as Maniacal's pointing out, like, no wonder we did not find desert with those two locations.
Wow, we found a rod, finally. It's not really the one that we wanted, necessarily, but
Nope.
we did finally find one. It only took an hour and 50 minutes.
The other side of Super Bunny, not great either. That is Mimic Cave, which is one of those entrances that is very hard to get to. Beer with that extra pod small is back to pod for the vanilla big key chest, just 20 bucks. And I think Beer might head off for Hera here. As we said, he's got the big key. I don't know if he has the small. I would think he does. But pretty easy Triforce piece to get here. He does not have the small. Okay. But he's got the big. Oh, GT big chest. Okay, thank you.
That seems like a check that is probably not going to be on his radar forever. Yeah, Dunka also going to find this 20 bucks. Not what you're looking for.
But yeah, the tough part here is Beer's about to open back up that two-piece lead. He's, as Moldorm says, get out.
Yeah, Moldorm says, this is my pit. I'm playing here right now. You wait your turn.
And Dunka's heading back up to DDM. Like, this is him returning for those other entrances he wants to knock out. But with that, Beer gonna back up to, or head up to 7 Triforce pieces and a 2-piece lead here. We'll see what he does next. He could do the save and quit. We've been, it was talked about earlier, with Beer having that Aga kill, he's got the save and quit to the top of the pyramid and could mirror to get these same checks that Dunka's been having to run for. And there's the save and quit.
And the immediate mirror.
And as we said, there's the bat is gone, so he doesn't have to cape every time. There's Old Man Rescue for Dunka at the bottom of DDM. The other check, is it going to be our missing dungeon? It is. There's our missing Misery Mire.
Yeah, with the lack of that Canis Samaria, and if I'm reading the tracker right, also the big key, it's a bit of a question mark, but you can still pull a bunch of items out of it.
I'm starting to think, are we gonna see the big key to Mire just kind of French vanilla? We've got 6 decent checks. We've only got 2 Mire smalls, but still at this point I don't think you can really skip left side.
Missing too many things and not enough checks outstanding, yeah.
Meanwhile, Beer inside of Desert Palace is going to get his silver arrows here off of right side.
Well, shows what I know, at least for the moment. Dunka's going to go ahead and turn his nose right up at the cutscene chest.
Not a total shock at this rate. Like, can be a bit annoying to go for both of the torches without any. Beer having a slight moment of, did I already see that this was nothing? Do I want a mirror here? A compass there in the worst chest of Mire. But here we go. There is Beer finding Blind's Hut, so he will get his half magic and the big prize of the Desert Big Key. Which will give him access, like, he's got the ability to get 2 more pieces right now. He's really looking for a sword and something. There's our third Mire Small.
Yeah. Oh, surprise, surprise. A small key to this dungeon. That never happens.
But yeah, where we're at now is Beer can get Desert Palace as well as Skull Woods. Beer needs either both rods, Thieves Big, or a Mire Big, as well as a sword. So like he's 1 item, 1 key and 1 sword from potential go.
He sees Mire, he thought no, then he thought yes. I wondered when he walked back out if he was gonna take that red cane and go for the GT items first, do that sequence break, and then he says, nope, you know what, let's just do the Mire thing. The Mire thing's fine. And let's see, cutscene chest, the vanilla big key location. Ah, there we go. That's the hot rod that makes things burn.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden, that right side of GT wouldn't even be out of logic. The problem for Dunka is he doesn't have the Cane of Samaria to get there.
Well, and really that fire rod also now gives Beer the, like, if Beer doesn't skip out on cutscene here, that's him able to get 10 Triforce pieces. And realistically, like, if Beer gets that, that's right side GT, and honestly, at this point, there's got to be a sword there, right?
There has to be. We're too far out of things to do.
Yeah.
The swords have to exist. The game has to place them. It's not allowed not.
So, like, this comes down to, like, if Beer makes this call, he could be very shortly in go mode. He's bailing, and he's back in. Okay, he's playing to the logic on this one. We have not checked tablets. We only got the book in Ice Palace, and after that, Beer and Dunka have kind of been focusing on the entrances that they got opened up with the mirror. Like, that's been their focus after that kill. Or after that dungeon.
Yep, Dunka picking up that Desert Palace Triforce piece. Closing the gap a little bit.
As we said, like, it's just unfortunate, the dangerous part here as Dunka gets...
Oh, the dead rock is just doing its best. It's living its best life, and that is everybody else's worst life.
Yep. But Dunka heading back to GT, so this is Dunka gonna get his climb piece. I mean, I think one of the bigger issues here at this point is, even if, like, for as long as Beer's going to be still searching for his swords at this rate, like, he's in for 10 pieces, the bigger problem here is, I think we need Samaria. I think we need Mitts. Like, it's looking more and more like Samaria is at least locking the ability to not only just kill Trinex and and Vidi, it's also going to lock us out of possibly the big key to Thieves Town. Like, it would not shock me that Samaria is behind it. But here we go. Right side GT, we did not do tile room, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, if you find absolutely nothing here, maybe you decide to do that after all, but this is quicker. There's the
our
sword.
That's go mode. That is go mode for homemade beer. He just has a few loose ends to tie up. He's got to beat Moth, Landmo, and Trinex, I think.
I don't know that he has the ice rod yet.
Oh, you're right. He doesn't. He didn't go through Super Bunny. My bad. I'm like, we have it on one person's tracker. Isn't that enough? This isn't shared inventory.
What? This isn't co-op info share? Yeah, I don't imagine that there's a world where Beer doesn't just backtrack immediately to Desert North here and go ahead and clear that out for his Triforce piece, but then he's going to have some options.
Yep.
Get happy 2-hour mark. 2 hours in an entrance mode, not necessarily unheard of, although everybody seems to be getting faster and faster at this game these days, and you don't always see that 2-hour marker roll over. But here we are.
Yeah, definitely. Crosshunt's definitely one of the faster of the entrance varieties as well. Generally does not have a lot of 2-hour plus seeds. Meanwhile, Dunka's going to have to be a little careful here. Down to 2.5 hearts as we hit the top, but through pretty much the most dangerous portion of the climb. Like, gonna get a small key here. Actually, probably just skips the small keys. Didn't even think about the fact he's got 4.
Yeah, and if he really wants health, he's got the powder. He can just go ahead and powder the anti-fairy and the bunny beam here, and he'll be fine for forever and ever, pretty much.
But there we go. Piece 8 for Beer. As Dunka's heading into Moldorm 2 for what will be his 7th piece. But yeah, we'll have to see where Beer heads off to next. Like, there's options for him. Like, I don't think he plays for... Is he playing for Tile Room?
No, because that's in Light World. He's getting... Oh, he's gonna save quit onto the top of the castle here, I think.
So he'll go into Desert, hit the big chest, go out Desert, back to Floating Island to hit some of the other checks. This might lead him to Super Bunny. This could be his route back to Super Bunny for his go.
Oh, look, the big key to Misery Mire.
Or that, yeah. Works just as well. Does Dunka have that?
See, I wondered if he ran by that rather than going in when he had gone back into Desert, and I'm not sure.
Because the thing that makes me... You know what? I think I saw Dunka in... Was he in Desert and had 4 out of 6?
Yep.
And if that's the case, then that would probably indicate he might have forgotten the big chest at the time. But I cannot say for sure. But either way, Beer is in go mode. It looks like that Samaria very much... Like, Thieves Big was a possibility to kind of keep you away from the Cane dungeons. But it's looking more and more like Thieves Big Key might just be behind that Cane, either front of TR or Tile Room even. Like, there's not a ton of options left.
Or it could be that you needed the cane to get that second sword so that you could get it off of one of the tablets.
Or that even. Like, we don't have a lot left. So Dunka might need Smith Chain. Like, this seed could just be locked behind Smith Chain and Beer getting those mitts out of spiral is just kind of the key. And yeah, chat confirming it seems like Dunka did skip big chest.
Beer giving AD Spooky a couple of goes there, decides, you know what, I've burned enough time on it, let's not.
And if you're curious why we hadn't seen that return to Skull, actually, Skull's actually really convenient for the end of this race. Now that I think about it, I think it's right next to Ganon.
Yeah, and here we're starting to see some of the cross-hunt specific, where you pick up the Triforce piece and you say, I don't really need this dungeon prize, I'm leaving.
Meanwhile, we did see the back of Skull entrance from Dunka, and nothing there, just 20 rupee cave, so... Or did I miss... Oh, Skull was here at Agina, my bad. For some reason I thought it was in CAC. I was way off.
It's on the west side of the map, it's fine. Count it.
Nice ped pull for a shield from Dunka. Still raises the question, where are the rest of the swords?
Right, starting to wonder.
I know some people were joking about the potential for tablet swords. It's looking likely at this rate.
Yeah, more possible than it was. Not the most cooperative moth in the history of moths, but there's a Triforce piece all the same.
Another save and quit. So all that's left is Ganon for homemade beer. And unfortunately for Dunka, has done a good job with this race. Just, you know, not hitting up Spiral Cave. Definitely one of those banes of the entrance runner. And unsurprising that it's, you know, when it has something this important, how easily it can bite you. Yeah, and I mean, the two deaths for Dunka are also, like, not very helpful either, as we see Dunka going back to ice. But in combination, like, the ice death, the ice Armos death, and Spiral Cave skip are, like, you stack those things on top of each other are really quite major. And Beer pretty much last locating Bombos, like, also... Like, he got the mitts and then decided not to go back to pod for a while still, which allowed him to also get that Cane of Samaria. Strong route today from Beer. That's really helped in the late game. But Ganon into the top left corner here. Going to be good for Beer to get some extra spins. And we're out of phase 2 into phase 3, so not much left of this one.
And of course, you have the always tricky Master Sword Silver's Ganon. It's very easy to just start getting into those 24 silverless spins. Getting the pig to turn blue with the Master Sword is not the easiest thing in the world sometimes.
Yeah. very easy to kind of just go into autopilot thinking I don't have silvers.
Beer going to fling a fire rod shot at the pig, just for funsies.
I mean, we are trying to cook the pig, right?
Yeah, I think the pig will cook all on its own. You just have to get things to this point right here, where the cooking happens.
Very nice triple to end that fight, though. Get your GGs in chat for one homemade beer, who is about to take game 1 of this round 2 series. And there we go. Homemade beer winning game 1 with an official race time of 2:09:22, and not too soon after that, Dunka does decide to call it, understandably so.
Yeah, you get to that point and you say, you know what, there's still so much that I need. I've got to find a sword. I've got to find a way to get however many more Triforce pieces. This one, let's just put this one in the book so we can come back in a day or two, play a different mode, see if the seed treats me a little better.
Yep. And I will say, I believe, yeah, they've already got game 2 scheduled for tomorrow, same time. Or, yeah, same time tomorrow, actually. So they do have a game 2 on the books. They'll be back tomorrow with an open race as Dunka's mode of choice. So,
oh, interesting. We're going to see open as not a game 3.
Yep. Meanwhile, Homemade Beer has joined us. GG's.
Hey, thank you, GG's.
Hey, Beer, good game.
That was Aga was a choice. That was great until it wasn't.
Yeah, we definitely had some chat. Like, why does he keep going through? The number of times we saw you go through Useless Fairy got chat a little confused until, the reminder of he has to do it.
Yeah.
Because the mirror was so late you couldn't just go through the gate.
Well, I knew that Flippers was probably... Well, no, actually... No, I knew Flippers had to unlock everything because I found the lamp in West Dark World.
Yeah, we didn't see a connector there for a while.
I was like, oh, that's why. What's really weird is the things I didn't find were all connectors. Every cave I didn't find was like Speck Rock, Super Bunny, front of desert. Like, it was really weird, actually.
We did see an alternate go mode. We did see Super Bunny at GT, which had your ice rod.
Super Bunny at GT. At GT. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Yep. I thought about doing that, and then I was like, getting back here is not that bad.
Yeah, we thought when you went through desert. Well, when you went through desert, we thought you were going to end up at Floating Island and probably head there again until we saw you pull the Mire Big out of Desert Big.
Yeah. Yeah, let me think. Is that what I was doing? Desert Big, I was going to go there. Yeah, that's... And then TR entrance. Yeah, that's what I was That's what I was going to do. Yeah. No. Actually, no. Take that back. I was gonna check Desert Main exit first because I think it was at Bumper Ledge.
Yes.
Based on what I have left.
Yep.
I think it had to be. And then I. Oh, you said Super Bunny was at GT.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
The bottom Super Bunny, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, because the bottom of Super Bunny I thought would have been at Light World.
I think top of Super Bunny was like Mimic Cave.
Oh, that would have. That was another choice that I was gonna get to maybe. Anyway, I don't know. I couldn't remember what, I think... Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to do. If I had the flute... Boy, let me tell you about the flute. How much I love the flute. No, I would have gone back to bottom of Paradox before GT. Like, after Mire and getting the Fire Rod, I would have just beaten Mire, and then I would have gone back through Paradox. Done the other entrances up there, because the bottom of Paradox takes you to Mimic Cave. Which actually, funny enough, would have given me Ice Rod, and I would have been screwed, because then I wouldn't have had a sword that I found in GT.
Well, and that's the thing. We're thinking there's a good chance maybe right side TR had one of the two, or one of the two you didn't find. We're thinking this seed kind of hinges on those myths, though, like the fact...
Logically. Because I thought I hard last located the myths, but then when Dunka said he had all this other stuff, and I saw the end game, I was like, wait a minute. What did I miss? And I realized that if you do pod with 3 keys, you get Bombos, and then you don't. Then you get the mirror. But he said he had the fire rod going in. Wait, what did I miss? Did I miss like something?
You guys both ended up in pod about the same time with 4 keys each.
The second time.
Yeah, your second trips in, you both had 4 and got Bombos.
But Bombos opened the mirror, which opened like everything else.
Yeah, so I think we found pod 5 and pod 6 almost concurrently, like, because one of those pod keys was Blind's Hut, and the other one that you got, I think, was behind Mitts. Yeah.
Okay. Or not, sorry, not behind the Mitts, behind the mirror, what I meant.
No, I think...
No, it couldn't have been. No, yeah, it was, because the fire rod was the access to ice to get the mirror to get... Then you mirror... Well, actually, no, you're right. The mirror or the Mitts gives you Dark Death Mountain, is the point.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, we saw very different routes up there. Dunka finding it through desert, you finding it with the Mitts, so...
Found it through desert.
Desert led to Floating Island.
Because he had the mirror. Wait. See, I don't get it.
You're saying Dark Death Mountain, unless you're talking about the...
Yeah.
That was his way to Dark Death Mountain.
You needed the Mitts or the mirror, right?
No.
Because desert...
Yes, you did need the mirror to get there because of the desert. You're right.
Okay. Because I thought I last located, like hard last located the Mitts and then realized it was just a logical last location, which is not the same, turns out.
I mean, Spiral Cave being that middle drop down and then having Saha right below it, you think you made the right call to go get Saha. And I think the best thing we got was the pod big out of there. Yeah. And then Spiral, you're like, I don't want to go back, but I need to. I mean, there were a couple of really bad locations in this seed.
I think I hard last located Spiral. I think I was... Besides beating pod with 4 keys, but I did all the 4 key lock stuff, so I wasn't going back to pod.
Yeah, I'll say, if you watch this back and you like are hearing me go, why is beer not going back to pod? It's because I thought you had 5 keys forever.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I saw you walk in and realized you only have 4, I was like, oh, no, beer's really, really smart. I just thought he had more.
I just misread
greedy.
the number.
I don't know about smart, just greedy. Actually, the other thing, I forgot that I didn't do the Bowlock side.
Okay.
Like this whole seed. So I was sitting here the whole seed, like, ignoring pod. I was like, wait, I can go do the Bowlock side too. So pod actually has a lot more value than just like 2 checks.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I thought you might have gone back sooner with that bow and big key. I was like, he's got a clearable dungeon and he's right next to Hera. So I was like trying to think, like, are you waiting for Hera big? What are we waiting for?
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, how was the race? How was the chat? How was the fun stuff? Thanks for throwing this together, everyone.
I mean, I'll say this was fun.
Yeah,
and like
entertaining seed, that's for sure.
Yeah. Not the worst of the cross hunts we've seen in this tournament, but a contender.
I remember at almost exactly 20 minutes, I looked at my tracker and I had literally 0 items. Yep. I was like, wow, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, chat was kind of having a good laugh about it. And I know our trackers were also kind of like, give us something to do, please.
Well, when I found the flippers, I was glad that I dodged that entrance early.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate getting there late, especially because I sequence broke past the flippers, but then I put the game back in logic. I think the last entrance I did that was an early entrance was Witch's Hut, which had nothing, I guess.
Yes.
But that's
that was the thing. It was like
clean up as much early game as possible, which led to nothing, and that was hilarious, except for the flippers and the shot.
And that was a big thing. It was like you getting those 2 checks early, like the flippers and bow, to resolve the logic, really helped. Neither of you really hit the perfect route with stuff. Like you both double dipped Eastern, you both double dipped GT for different purposes.
Man, that GT is so bad.
Yeah, and it was, we had a feeling, but like what really helped you was like, besides the Mitts, Dunka unfortunately took a death to Ice Armos as well as Cold Stare in this one.
Oh, so that's a lot of time, yeah.
Yeah, so like he had to still go back for Ice Armos and then eventually also the GT climb. So like a couple extra trips into GT did not help on his end, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I'll just say again, not to toot it too much, but the flute would have made this seed like pretty just an okay seed. Without it was just like, oh my goodness, where is everything?
No, I mean the having to run to locations kind of built up after a while. That's always going to be a problem with this mode.
And that's when you watch like really good cross keys players that don't. It doesn't feel like they're wasting time doing that. Where like I have like a huge crutch on like if I don't have the flute, I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing this connector 6 times because I'm too stubborn to go look for other connectors that might be faster. Like I thought the Aga play was actually not terrible because I'm like, you know what, this gives me a free path to Dark World that's pretty close to a save and quit, and it gives me a bunch of checks that I can do pretty quickly, and it gets me back to West Dark World quickly once I need to. And then the first entrance I check is the back of Old Man. I was like, well, never mind.
Well, on the other side of that, we thought, are you maybe hoping to get a quicker way to get the back of Escape instead of having to run through Hyrule Castle?
Yes, that too.
And then you still went through the front of Hyrule Castle to get to Dark Cross. No, wait, did you go from the back?
No, I went from the back, and I got Dark Cross from the back too. So I did. I don't know enough to say I saved time, but it wasn't that bad getting that stuff.
Yeah, because we saw Dunka do front of Escape pretty early and pull that Swamp Small, and then we're like, oh, interesting Hyrule Castle small key logic. He didn't. He didn't get that early. Like he got that out of logic without the lamp before you did. So like little bit of differences. Like you had the boots a bunch earlier. So
yeah, like if you notice, the glove was in the back, the hammer was in the middle, and both of them were lamp locked. So like yeah, the path to the lamp was the flippers. Like, there was no other way to get there. So.
Yeah, we were trying to figure that logic out, and then when you finally pulled the flippers, it was like, there it is. There's what it was, because we just had no connectors to get to that lamp.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but I don't know. All the seeds have been pretty fun so far. I haven't been like ready to flip a table yet this tournament. So.
Congrats on that. And we were talking about
it's not the hard standard tournament, right?
That was a fun one too.
But we did say you have game 2 scheduled for tomorrow, same time. Dunka going with Open.
Yep, that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. I enjoy me a good Open once in a while.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
And then all things pending game 3 Saturday, I think at 2 Eastern.
Okay.
Pending results of game 2.
Cool.
We're knocking it out. We're gonna be done with 2 rounds before week 1.
Before round 1 officially had to end. I was gonna say you're not the fastest to finish round 2, but you're not too far behind.
No, we tried. But yeah, thanks to Dunka for being like the easiest scheduling I've ever had in a tournament. He showed up and pinged me and said, "These are my times." I said, "How about these?" And he said, "Yes."
Awesome. You love to see it, always.
And then thanks to you all for coming, and trackers for tracking, and SpeedGaming for SpeedGaming.
Yeah, my DM reached out about an hour before the race. He's like, "Do you want to calm something?" I'm like,
back from the
sure.
Yeah, suddenly available, and I'm like, hey, Jesse and I a month ago were saying, we should commentate some main tournament together, and then my life just went completely off the rails. I said, you know what? Sorry, Jesse. I said that I was going to do this thing with you, and then like an entire month and practically a half has gone by. I've been completely unable to do it, but I have time if you want to do this racing. An hour, I think, is actually like 45 minutes from now. Does that work for you? And he says, yeah, that works for me. We can do that.
Nice.
So yeah, thanks again to Dunka and Beer for putting on a great race. We do still have one more main tournament race today in 2.5 hours, right here on SpeedGaming. We're going to have game 2 between Kazan and Maniacal. That's going to be 80 keys with boots. Maniacal took game 1 which was a cross hunt. So Kay's looking to even up the series tonight with his game mode pick of 80 keys with boots. So right here on SpeedGaming, we still do not know who's commentating it, but we do have a tracker, so the race will happen for sure. Highly recommend you watch it. But once again, tomorrow, though, 6:10 Eastern Time, do come back to check out Game 2 between these two guys. Could be a good one. We do not have channel assignments yet. Make sure to follow the runners. Shout outs again to Dark Shana and Malkir for doing the tracking. And my demon, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always fun. Sorry that I haven't been able to get to it before now, but and such is life sometimes. Jesse, thank you for finding time in your own schedule for me and for a race that I thought was going to be entertaining. And well, sure enough, we got 2 hours and change out of it.
Yep, definitely a good time. So once again, we'll see you here hopefully in about 2.5 hours for that next race. Everybody have a great rest of your Thursday, if not though. Good night, everybody.